stuff.
This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on this Monday, rainy Monday in Tuscaloosa, December the 9th. We're getting into the month of December. Hope you and yours are having a happy holiday season, enjoying some time with the family, doing some Christmassy, doing some holiday type stuff. We're back on a Monday to talk about Alabama football, their fate. Oh, man, doomed out of the college football playoff. So we're going to talk about yesterday's college football playoff selection, our reaction to it, where Alabama was scheduled. Are you ready for the Outback Bowl? Doesn't that sound a whole lot better than the ReliaQuest Bowl? The Outback Bowl, where Alabama's going to take on Michigan. So big-time brands going to collide in Tampa. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Greg Byrne, his reaction to Alabama getting left out. We heard from Kalen DeBoer yesterday after the selection show and after the team's banquet. He spent about 20 minutes with us, and you can view that on BamaCentral's YouTube channel. Matter of fact, let me pull it up because I think thousands and thousands of people have already viewed it on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. You can be one of the, as it loads, one of the 18,000 people to have viewed Kalen DeBoer's press conference on the BamaCentral YouTube channel right there from last night. But we're going to talk about it all. We got a huge list of things to get into. A lot of options. Transfer portal, who is staying, who is going. Right here on the Joe Gaither Show, we invite you to jump in and join us at Joe Gaither6 on any social media machine. Right here on the BamaCentral YouTube channel in the comments section, you can leave us a comment, a question, a query, or complaint. We're right here live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios, right off McFarland Boulevard. Call Derek and his team today at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. And of course, I'm here with my friend Mason Woods. You can follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_. He's going to have a busy evening writing about AJ DeBansa. But first, hey, Mason Woods, how was your weekend?
It was a good weekend. Some disappointing results, obviously, from the Alabama perspective. But I was wrong. I'm not above admitting it. I was incorrect on the results of what would happen on Sunday. Alabama, like you said, was kicked out of the college football playoff, relegated to the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Woo! I've got 5 overarching topics to get into: the selection of SMU over Alabama, the problem with the seeding, scheduling going forward with Greg Byrne, the ReliaQuest Bowl, the Outback Bowl, and then finally transfer portal players. So we're just going to take them right in order because I think that's kind of chronological of what's going on in the sports world. Sunday, we are all waking up. Well, really, all right, we need to back up. Friday's show, we start off the ACC championship discussion asking, does the game even matter? Mason, you said it didn't matter.
Yeah,
you told me that I could just, go Christmas shopping.
I thought for once, maybe this year we had gotten a bit of consistency from the College Football Playoff Committee. I was incorrect to give them that much credit. Obviously, I should not have done that. I thought that the ranking of Miami under Alabama a week prior indicated that the strength of schedule was in the forefront of their minds when they were seeding these teams. However, come Sunday about noon or whatever time it was, I was incorrect. I mean, given, the absolute worst case scenario did happen in the ACC championship for Alabama.
Dabo, Sweeney, drive the dagger in the heart. Dabo, come on. What are you doing? Help your alma mater get out in front of SMU in your championship game, and great to do it. I think they got out to 21-0 blitz.
Yeah.
Basically, bam, 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 right off the rip. And it was like, oh, buddy. But Dabo, you let him back in the game. Well, okay.
Dabo played not to lose.
Was it the ACC script? Dabo got the ACC script, said, hey, ease off the gas pedal a little bit. We got to get these Mustangs in the playoffs.
I don't think Dabo's a company man like that.
That extra team, that extra playoff revenue.
I don't know. I don't know if Dabo's a company man like that. I don't think Dabo cares much about the revenue. He's not spending it anyway. So But yeah, the that game was. I mean, I think I texted you right after that field goal went through. Just worst case scenario for Alabama. It was, of all the things that could have happened, that was basically the one thing that did not need to happen was SMU to show a lot of fight in a very close game and then still come up short. So it was unfortunate for Alabama. I still went into Sunday supremely confident, though. We looked at the All-State playoff predictor last week. I had Alabama above a 70% chance to make the playoff, even with a Clemson win. But yeah, they rolled with that big number in the win column over the strength of schedule, I think. And I think maybe they listened a little too much to the general public and maybe took into account what their reaction would be had they put Alabama in there. Who knows?
If the ACC championship game were at 11 a.m. on Saturday instead of at 8 p.m. on Saturday, would the playoff committee have still put SMU into the playoffs?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is a very good question because with it even being in prime time, I still think some of them probably didn't even watch it.
Well, no, they watched it. They showed the room.
Okay.
They were all in the room. They showed
watching it,
they were in nice cushy recliners and they had snacks and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is the emotion. Because I just like you said, you text me right after, and you were right. Worst case scenario, because I'm getting up and oh yeah, I had to write something for BamaCentral, basically what this means, and I'm thinking, what does this mean? What's going on? I was trying to figure out what was going to happen in the game so that I could put out a decent article, but it really was SMU fought back. They showed you that they can hang with the big boys. They lost. I mean, let's take the emotion out of it. They lost. Yep. They came up short. They came up short for the second time against better competition. When they put BYU, a one-time playoff hopeful, they lost as well, 18-15 or whatnot. But okay, the emotion is, they got down in a hole, and wow, look at those young men. Yep. They fought back, and they almost got it done. And you thought, from an Alabama perspective, you thought for a second, like, you're hoping, they tie the game, they can hold Clemson right here, get to overtime, win it, and you're going to be safe. Everything's going to be fine. But Dabo goes right down the field and breaks your heart.
Yeah.
It was
the
emotional, like, basically the way the game flow happened stirred you up enough to where, okay, you did have a night to sleep on a college football playoff committee, but you were still waking up kind of in the aftermath, in the afterglow of, oh, wow, those Mustangs, they played hard. Kevin Jennings, he brought them back. He started off so bad, right? Lastly, that must have been a hell of a halftime speech. You're still feeling those feelings instead of if the game's at 11 and then you see the ACC or the SEC championship and the Big Ten, like you get more kind of games, more emotional plays, so you get away from it a little bit. I wonder if that had a factor, because I tweeted this and some people got upset with me. So I had somebody, Joe, you're such a company man. But I had a lot of people say, oh, you're being real. Like, look, Alabama, are you one of the best 12 teams? I think you are. Probably. I think you're probably 7, 8, 9 best team in the country.
But
as far as talent goes, and when you play his best, Tyler Booker said it. When you play your best, I do think you probably are the 1 or 2 best team in the country. But you lost at Oklahoma. You went okay. People want to talk about the Vanderbilt game, but I don't even care about the Vanderbilt game because these are college kids. They're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, 17 years old on in some occasions, right? These are college kids. And you've seen it all throughout college football this entire year, except with Oregon. People have laid out stinkers. I mean, Georgia, you almost lost to Kentucky. Ole Miss, you did lose to Kentucky. Like, there are some stinkers across college football all year long.
I mean, even Oregon early in the season, Boise State, I think their week 1, they hung around with like a FCS team.
Great. So exactly the point is that the inconsistency factor, it's hard to go week to week. So people don't want to, you lost to Vanderbilt. Well, Vanderbilt's that scrappy good, and I cannot wait for the Birmingham Bowl, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech. That is going to be
so good.
Some crunching, some pads popping. That's going to be some get the wheelchairs ready. I'm sorry, but they're going to be hurting each other in right up to Progressive Stadium, right in Birmingham. Is that it? I think they are. Protective Stadium. Oh, sorry.
I think so.
Point being, I don't care about the Vanderbilt loss.
Yeah, you had a chance to make up for it,
right? You went to I don't even care about the loss in Neyland Stadium because, like, okay, we went into the season, pretty much a lot of people were projecting you'd lose in Knoxville. But the season breaks your way again. You start winning. You win a couple in a row, and you do what you did in Norman. It basically, to me, disqualifies everything. You left it in the committee's hands. Like, yes, do I think Alabama's better than SMU? Yes. Is Alabama's resume better than SMU's? Yes, I do. But Alabama literally left you with a big stink bomb at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN week, whatever that was, 14 of the season, 13 of the season, the second to last week of the regular season, right there on ESPN for everybody to see. Like, and I know the resume. Oh, well, you beat South Carolina at home, and okay, well, South Carolina's won 6 in a row. Like, you beat the SEC champions, Georgia. Like, the resume is really good. Does it deserve to be in? Probably. But I just have a really hard time. Mason, I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
You would have had to wake up Sunday and say, you know what, SMU, I don't care. I don't care about your 11-1. I don't care that the week earlier I put you 3 spots above Alabama. I don't care any of that. I'm still going to put you above, right above Alabama, and you're going to be left out of this thing. It was just, I mean, how do you? Because the committee was in a terrible spot. Do you reward the strong regular season, the strong schedule? Yes, that's probably what you should have done. But then, do you reward the conference championship? Do you punish the because it's very obvious if they weren't in the conference championship game at 11-1, number 8 in the country, you're in the college football playoff. So why would you play and so to me, just looking at the sport, looking at what do we need, what needs to happen to preserve the greatest health of the sport? Okay, Alabama being in would be great. Big brands, big revenue. But what happens going forward? Okay, we'll talk about that in a second with Greg Byrne. You could alter schedules, sure. What I think will happen is what Nick Saban suggested on Sunday, I believe it was, where he talked about equaling out the schedules, everybody playing the same amount of conference games. I think that will be the move. What ends up happening is you say, oh, we would rather preserve conference championship weekend. And to me, like, that's a no-brainer choice. This past weekend was Georgia, Texas, epic game. Penn State, even game, Oregon, a pretty nice little run for their money. Like, it was a good little weekend of football. Boise State and UNLV. Like, not every game came down to the wire like the ACC championship game. And obviously everybody was watching the ACC title game because of the stakes that were at play for Alabama and for both programs. I mean, they both thought that they were playing to win and get in. Same thing, the Big 12, Arizona State, they wrecked Iowa State. But that was such a fun game. And Arizona State, I thought, showed their character and showed their grit as we're a real, pretty good program. I don't think that they're worthy of the 4th seed. No. We'll talk about that in a second. But they're worthy of a playoff position, is my point. They went into the Big 12 championship and decimated Iowa State. Physically dominated them. Scatterboo with the running back.
He's apparently the best running back in the country.
He looked like it on Saturday.
I mean, Ashton Jeanty had a pretty good game also.
Sure. Point being, I think they show that they belong.
Sure.
I think that conference championship weekend is special. And I think that while Alabama, you probably are one of the best teams, you probably should be in this field. You didn't play in conference championship weekend. And really, you had every chance to. Oklahoma, you should have bent Oklahoma over your knee. Period. You should have bent Oklahoma over your knee, and you didn't do it. You went out there uninspired, uninterested, and you can sit here and talk about strength of schedule, and you're right. It's a good argument. Alabama fans that are in my mentions talk about strength, you're right. It is a good argument. They probably should be in. But that bitter taste and nasty memory of, hey, when you had everything to play for, you absolutely laid an egg. Now, people are in my mentions saying, well, SMU had everything to play for this weekend, and they didn't lay an egg.
No.
Sure, they started slow. I would absolutely give you that. They started slow. They started poor. It was offensive mistake.
It looked like it was going to be like a good outcome for Alabama, just the opposite way that we all anticipated. Just a Clemson blowout.
But SMU dug back in. They get respect for digging back in and for tying the game with whatever 50 seconds left it was.
I mean, it looked like they really had a chance to win it, I think, if they had gone to overtime.
So Alabama's out. Mason, I've danced around it, but I really don't have a problem with it. And like, people can say, "Oh, you're ESPN, you're mainstream media." I don't. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. I don't care what you say about me. But I, as much as I like covering Alabama, and as much as I am an Alabama grad, and I want good things to happen for the University of Alabama. And would it have been fun to go to some of these places? Would it have been fun to go to Penn State? Absolutely. It would have been fun to go to Notre Dame or to Ohio State. We'll talk about these kind of in just a minute. But like, that would have been my preference. But it is what it is. You left with everything on the line. You laid an absolute egg.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Alabama really has a leg to stand on in any argument here, because of what. I mean, virtually every reason you just laid out there. You went to Norman, you laid an egg. There's not really a better way to put it. You went to Norman all the way to Norman for a field goal, and you lost every bit of claim to being one of the 12 best teams in the country right then and there. I still think that this team is one of the best 12 in the country because you look at their resume with the win over South Carolina, with the win over Georgia, with the win over Missouri, with any other win you want to look to. But you did lose those 3 games, and you lost one of them in embarrassing fashion. So embarrassing that it still leaves a sour taste in everyone's mouth. Here we are almost a month later. It's just... Yeah, you lost every bit of argument that you had. I think from the perspective of like the health of college football, I'm skeptical on what this means, because I do kind of agree with the sentiment that this is a big message to a lot of teams that, hey, strength of schedule is not that huge a deal as long as you got a big number in that win column. And I think that's a bit of a dangerous place to be. You look at teams like Indiana this year, they skirted by with a terrible schedule. You play one good team, and they put up a fight against Ohio State, so I give them that. But you still lost by 2 touchdowns. I don't really think Indiana deserves to be there. If we are applying, which from the genesis of the college football playoff, it has been about getting the best teams into the playoff. And it does not seem like anyone knows what that means. We conflate best with deserving every year, and we get into these arguments over, they deserve to get in. Oh, they deserve. Well, they won 11 games. They deserve. Sure, SMU deserves to be in the playoff. They won 11 games. That's awesome. You won 11 games in a power conference. That's very cool. Your resume does not stack up to the teams that are actually the best in college football.
The issue is these power conferences are too large.
They're too good.
And Indiana is a great example. Texas is even a great example. Penn State is a great example. And SMU is perfect example. Like, these teams you're playing, when you get to play the bottom end of a big conference, and look, you only control your non-conference schedule. You don't control you just get what you get from the conference office. Yeah. And so there's nothing, I'm not saying that they did anything nefarious to get this. The conference office, like, you just shake them up in a pot and spit them all out. Here's your 8 conference games. Here's your 9 conference games. Well, if your league is the Big Ten and you have
18
4,
teams.
3 really upper echelon teams, and the rest is, upper mid.
Sure.
Yeah, pretty decent. Like, you can get yourself a good draw and only play Ohio State and end up with 11-1 record Indiana and not be in conference championship weekend and not have any scrutiny about their place.
Yep.
None. You can beat Texas and lose to
the same team twice.
Beat the only other good team from your conference. Sure, I think they put Houston and they did, but really soft scheduling as well. Like, it shows you. I think that you're going to have to get some sort of a handle on either divisions, like the scheduling. The balance it's really imbalanced. So the imbalance leaves room for the arguments and makes for upset people. Because I think that if you're an Alabama fan and you're upset that they weren't in the playoff, I'm not going to say that you're crazy. I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't be upset, because they did schedule their butt off. You can say they went to Wisconsin, they brought South Florida in, and look at these next handful of years. Like, Alabama is scheduling its butt off. How will that affect things? I don't know. It's just,
to the crowd that also points out the, well, it's not even about Alabama didn't lose non-conference games this year. They played Wisconsin. Like the SEC, the Big Ten as well, is head and shoulders above the ACC and the Big 12. As if we're talking just pure talent wise, I think top to bottom, those conferences are just way better than the other two. So your week to week conference play is objectively harder than it is in those conferences. So I don't know. That argument to me is
How many of Alabama's opponents this year would have won the ACC?
the SEC went 8-2 against the ACC this season. So
South Carolina would have won the ACC. Georgia would have won the ACC.
Tennessee, Ole Miss
definitely would have. We didn't play Ole Miss. LSU might have been in that top 4, even though they're not that good.
Missouri would have made some noise in the ACC.
And people are, that's a bad argument. Okay, it's fine.
Sure, we can play the hypotheticals.
But I want to talk about this and get into this because you're getting into what Greg Byrne got into. Greg Byrne got community noted on X because he basically said he's going to have to use this decision, being left out, as a data point for scheduling going forward. And Alabama's schedule is loaded going forward. Well, I've got it pulled up here in just a minute, but it's loaded going forward, and that breaks my heart because I want to go to these places and I want these big time programs to come to Tuscaloosa as well. I hope that Greg Byrne brainstorms with Greg Sankey, brainstorms with Kalen DeBoer, and brainstorms, and they all get together with College Football Playoff Committee and say, "Hey, man, this is wrong. Look at some of these schedules. Like, we've got to reevaluate some of this stuff." But also, don't lose at Oklahoma. I mean, it's as simple as that for Alabama. It's not the schedule that got you. You're right. It's not the non-conference schedule. It's the SEC schedule that got you. And people are like, "Oh, you lost to the bad teams in the SEC." Sorta. Vanderbilt's going bowling. Oklahoma's going bowling. Obviously, thanks to a win over Alabama in both those cases. But
Tennessee's in the playoff.
Tennessee's in the playoff. Like, you didn't lose to bad teams. I think that really, I hope that Alabama does not change its scheduling method.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you're going to be playing such tough teams in the league, and look, you can debate Vanderbilt and Oklahoma all you like, but they were obviously tough enough to beat you because they did. If you're going to be playing these teams that are tough enough to beat you, it's about, I don't know, kind of mitigating the schedule a little bit, especially because you're probably going to be going from 8 to 9 conference games, maybe even 8 to 10 conference games. That's what you need. That would be great.
Would be awesome.
10 conference games, 2 non-conference games, make it 1 bye game and 1 decent out-of-conference matchup. That'd be perfect. I hope that it doesn't change their scheduling. Here's what they got on the future. Next year, Alabama opens the season going to Florida State. Yeah. You want to go continue the wreckage of the Florida State program. You open at Florida State.
Yeah, that's one. I think we talked about it. That's one you maybe consider just not buying out.
Well, none of these. Come on. These 4 are this is a great non-conference schedule. I've given Alabama a lot of grief over the time that I've been in media over the bye games. 2025 is a beautiful non-conference schedule. Just real quickly, at Florida State, home September 6th with Louisiana Monroe, home September 13th with the Wisconsin Badgers, and then late in the year, home against Eastern Illinois. Of course, you're gonna have a bye game, whatever. You're late in the season, but this is a great 2 big boys and 1 kind of mid-tier team in the resides in the Southeast, right?
I think it's worth noting too that the gripes that we had for so long with Alabama's weak scheduling outside of the SEC was beneficial to do that at that time. They scheduled all these games thinking that moving forward, it was not going to be very beneficial to play, a Mercer, to play a Western Kentucky, to play whoever it is. So the motivation for scheduling has changed, I think, because of just the way college football has shifted into presumably what we all thought was going to be focusing on the strength of schedule and your record and who you played. But we see now maybe that is changing again.
What about 2026, Mason? September 5th at West Virginia, September 12th, South Florida at home, September 19th, Florida State at home.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like the West Virginia game.
27, you got West Virginia at home, and then you're starting a home and home series. You're going to Ohio State. Like these are games just for the sake of college football. They need to stay on the schedule.
Yeah, I don't know how you fix it, but something has to be done to where, across the board schedules need to be evened out amongst a lot of these teams.
You got Oklahoma State home and home for 28 and 29, Notre Dame home and home for 29 and 30, excuse me. Georgia Tech for 30 and 31. Then you open up, you have Arizona for 32 and 33, and then including Minnesota those same years, just flip. And then Virginia Tech 34 and 35. So these are games that I'll be severely upset if Alabama cancels them due to this decision. But yeah, I mean, could you blame Greg Byrne if he did?
No, not with the information that he's been given as of Selection Sunday. I could not blame him for doing this. It would suck for football fans. It would suck for you and me. It would suck for a lot of people. But this is what the committee left us with.
So hopefully, what I hope happens, because we'll get into the next portion of this conversation, the seeding of this tournament, of this bracket. What I hope happens is they see what happened this year with 12, and they say, okay, I think the next time that they can expand it is 28 or 27 or so, 26. But I hope that they see this offseason and they say, we like what we did here, but need some work. Before we get into the seating, though, I'll tell you about our friends Purple Turtle Roofing. They are the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Mississippi and Alabama. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Turtle Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of the qualified employees will come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. You can check them out online today at roofturtle.com. We appreciate Dustin Foley and his team for sponsoring the program. And we want to wish you a happy holidays and Merry Christmas from Purple Turtle Roofing. All right, we're live here in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios right off of McFarland Boulevard. You can call him at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. The next big problem I had with Sunday was how everything broke down as far as seeding, particularly as it pertained to the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah.
And as it pertained to the Tennessee Vols. And really, I guess, as it pertained to the Texas Longhorns. You, can debate 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, Alabama or SMU, Alabama or Clemson, obviously Clemson earning their way in. You can debate that if you'd like. But they need to, next year, say we're done with the automatic qualifier gets the bye.
Yep.
Because Arizona State had a good year, but Boise State had a good year, but there's no way that they should be getting the bye.
Zero reason.
No, and you look at, I got a big problem with a lot of this, and it goes back to the scheduling. Who did Ohio State beat? Who did you beat? You beat Penn State once.
You beat Indiana.
Right, and you beat Indiana. Great. Like, you've got a lot of these teams that haven't beaten anybody really of significance. I guess at Ohio State, you did beat Indiana and Penn State. Congratulations. That's 2 good wins. But it's just am I excited about it? Yes, because it's brand new and it's fun and it's going to be high stakes football. But do I think that they got the best 12 teams? Sort of. No. I mean, not without Alabama. No. But they probably did get the right 12 teams. I guess that's probably the best way to put it.
They got them to deserve it. The teams that deserve to be there are there. These teams all have a valid argument, I think, for being in the playoff.
They do. But who can really win this thing? I'm looking at Oregon. I'm looking at Georgia.
Right
Tennessee.
I think if Tennessee gets hot, if you get Nico Iamaleava playing, at the level he can play.
Can Arizona State win this thing? No,
I don't think so.
Can Clemson? No.
I do think Clemson has a chance to beat Texas round 1
in Austin.
Yeah.
If you could go, if you could get tickets to just one of these round one games, Clemson at Texas, Tennessee at Ohio State, SMU at Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame.
Tennessee at Ohio State.
Do you see what Ohio State is doing to Tennessee? Oh, they're giving them the big old middle finger. They said, Tennessee, we will allot you. How many thousands does the horseshoe hold? 100,000? Are they at 95,000? Because I don't think it's a fully closed in, is it? They've got the horseshoe with the end zone blockers.
104,944.
104,944. How many tickets do you think they're allotting Tennessee out of 104,000?
Oh Lord.
It's laughably low. Whatever number you have in your head, go lower and then spit it out. What is it?
We'll go with 15.
3,500.
That's awful. That's crazy.
Hey, Tennessee, welcome to the playoffs. First time ever.
I hate that for I
3,500 tickets over your way. What?
That's crazy.
That's a crime, is what it is. They should get at least 15, at least 20.
That shouldn't even be allowed. That's crazy.
They said double bird SEC.
That's preposterous. Tennessee really got. And I don't want to, be in the same camp as Vols fans who I've seen all day on Twitter. Tennessee got screwed. They hate Tennessee. They don't want to see Tennessee. But Tennessee did get screwed.
But who did Tennessee beat actually?
Alabama.
Because if Alabama's out of the playoff, if Alabama's not that good, Alabama didn't deserve to be there.
Can't hang your hat on that win then. Yeah.
Right. Which way you want it?
True. Can't have your cake.
Who did Tennessee really beat? Other than that.
They lost to Georgia. They
beat South Carolina? No, they didn't play South Carolina this year, did they? They beat.
I think so.
Did they didn't play Missouri this year either. They beat Florida. Great job. You beat Florida. You beat Florida. You beat NC State at the start of the year.
Yeah, you beat NC State. Beat Oklahoma when everybody thought Oklahoma was still okay.
Right, on the road.
Lost to Arkansas. Beat Kentucky. Beat Mississippi State. I mean, we talk about teams that skirted by with an easy conference schedule. Tennessee did.
Right.
You had Oklahoma, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and then Alabama and Georgia.
Well, they played the mighty Vanderbilt.
Hey, Vandy put up a fight for a little bit in that game.
Yes, they did. I don't know.
I don't love this seeding. I hate the automatic bid or the automatic conference bid, getting the bye. It's stupid to me. It doesn't really make any sense.
You absolutely jacked it up with the seeding because of the AQs. I don't have any problem really with Clemson getting the 12 because they just snuck in there. But really the AQs mess you up. My biggest problem, Texas, you playing a home game against Clemson, the lowest seeded team in the tournament, and then you get a quarterfinal game, Fiesta Bowl maybe. Right out there. I mean, obviously it's in Arizona's backyard as well. But you get a bowl game against the lowest ranked conference champion.
Yeah, the 5 seed hasn't made here.
Yes, there should be no scenario. And look, we were saying that this is irregardless of Texas. Sorry, this is not about you, Longhorns. We were saying that the 5 seed was one of the more enviable places to be when the bracket came out. Right?
No, I remember us talking about Notre Dame being the team that basically, which they didn't get it this year, but with kind of the way Notre Dame is set up, you can almost pencil them in as that 5 spot almost every year.
Well, they almost got a pretty good little draw, except for the fact that the winner of their first round game goes to Georgia. Now, will Notre Dame wipe the map with Indiana, or is that going to be a good game?
I feel like it could be a good game. I know that we have talked a lot about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and how had this been Alabama in this position, they would be going up to touchdown Jesus to have a come to Jesus moment. But I don't know. I think Indiana is on that same vibe as we've talked about with Vanderbilt, where it's just we'll bring you in here, we'll bring you out to the deep end, and we will just choke you out and drown you. I think Notre Dame plays that way also a little bit. So that's kind of why I think this is just going to be like a rock fight game. 2 teams just slugging it out.
Are we in agreement? Do I see 4 I think you could have 4 awesome games.
I really think so. I really like Tennessee, Ohio State. I think that's going to be hopefully a very just high flying, shootout, 45-50 kind of game. And Clemson, Texas, I think is going to be a tough one. I still think Texas is kind of front runners. You got punched in the mouth against Georgia earlier in the year. You got punched in the mouth again in the SEC championship. I think Clemson has the opportunity to maybe punch them in the mouth again.
I mean, Texas, it's
soft.
overtime, right?
It's soft.
Overtime. You just knocked the quarterback out. This is the second stringer. The first stringer's coming in with his arm hanging off.
Might be a pass. Watch the pass.
What? All he's going to do is take the snap and turn it around, and Georgia just runs it 6 yards right down your throat.
That is something I did see today, that Carson Beck, I think, is expected to maybe miss the playoff game. So what does that mean for the Georgia Bulldogs facing off against maybe Indiana or Notre Dame here? I don't think it really means a whole lot, but I don't know. Honestly, they looked pretty good with Gunnar Stockton back there. So maybe it's a plus for Georgia if Carson Beck's out.
They got that big jump, and I told my friends maybe the team just hates Carson Beck. They weren't playing. They weren't playing good. They weren't playing hard for Carson.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like a lot of the guys very, very easily rallied behind. And I'm sure me and you both have played team sports. Like when that kind of situation happens and the backup gets in and does something really well, it's like a very like this is awesome. So there was something to that win. There was some juice about old Gunnar Stockton. I think SMU and Penn State could be fun. I have a feeling. I don't think
either team is really that good.
Yeah,
and I think you're going to get a lot of sloppiness out of both. Like
you're probably right.
You're probably going to get some high-powered offense. All right. Let's hit another transition here because we're done talking about programs that are not named Alabama. Let me get down to December 31st, right there. That's what I want. All right, you're watching the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com, hanging out with Mason Woods in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. We appreciate everybody who subscribed to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. Those numbers going up. We appreciate you so much if you're on Apple Podcasts the most. Alabama, you missed the playoffs, and you took a tumble down the bowl chart to the ReliaQuest Bowl. Alabama against Michigan, 7-5 Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl. People are like, what's the ReliaQuest? It's the old Outback Bowl. It's not as bad as it sounds. Everybody's like, the ReliaQuest Bowl, that's it's not, it's the old Outback Bowl. It's a decent bowl game. It's not a great bowl game, but it's fine, right?
When you're at Alabama, anything less than national championship's garbage.
But it's not the Birmingham Bowl. It's not the Music City Bowl.
Might as well be.
It's not the Independence Bowl.
Might as well be.
Nick Saban took his first team to the Independence Bowl. It's better than that.
Is it? I mean,
yes.
Is it?
Of course it is. It's not the college football playoff. It's not the Peach Bowl. It's not the Sugar Bowl, but those
are the ones that matter.
It's the next tier.
Anything past those, they're all. It's the playoff, your 8 bowl games, and then everything else is all lumped in together to me.
So can I not get you excited about Michigan?
No, you can't get me excited about this one. You especially can't get me excited about Michigan because Michigan's going to do exactly to Alabama what they did to Ohio State.
No. Michigan, they got payback coming from Kalen DeBoer and from Alabama. Kalen DeBoer,
This is true.
Michigan robbed Kalen DeBoer's chance of winning the championship last year.
This is true. Man, though,
you don't think he's going to be able to get the boys fired up? He said, you guys were
what is there to be fired up for?
You guys were 2 yards away from beating Michigan last year. They stole your national title.
No, I don't feel
great about
my
national
this
title.
This feels like an Alabama go lay an egg in the bowl game kind of.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't love this one.
We'll talk about the guys in the transfer portal in just a minute. But those guys aside, because those are obvious. Those guys aside, who's opting out?
That is what I want
to know. Who's playing in this game? Who's actually playing in this game? Because Coach DeBoer yesterday.
Is Ryan Williams opting out?
Coach DeBoer, no. Coach DeBoer yesterday talking to the media after the team banquet, basically gave us a 20-minute Zoom call, which was great. Thank you for that, Coach. And didn't really commit to anyone opting in. Didn't say anyone was opting out specifically, but alluded to, he said, I felt pretty good that everybody is going to be available. I feel pretty good about where the team is. I feel pretty good about the opt-outs and the guys completing the mission, completing the season. So, Mason, I don't think you're going to get many maybe one or two, but I don't think you're going to give them any.
Yeah, I don't know that we see many opt-outs. I think it'll maybe be one of those things, and I think we talked about this with maybe what we'll see out of Colorado, where they're not getting any opt-outs technically, but you might see Malachi Moore go out there for the first drive and then take himself off to the side and just be a cheerleader the rest of the day. You might see, some of these guys, Tyler Booker, you might see him just go out there with the first drive and then somebody else slot it. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that these guys that are NFL, NFL draft picks realistically are going to be playing a full 60.
Well, who's an NFL draft pick?
I think Malachi Moore, Tyler Booker. That's about it.
Malachi Moore, Tyler Booker, Damani Jackson.
Yeah, is Damani is he leaving? Is he coming back? He could come back.
He's up. He could be drafted. We'll say that. He's got a decision to make for sure.
I feel like Damani, he might come back.
My guess is most guys will play, but my guess is we will see that early pull, that early hook from Jalen Milroe.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he asks for it by any means, but I think that it will be kind of a passing of the torch moment to Ty Simpson. Let Ty Simpson play in the second half. I do think it's going to be more than a series for sure.
Yeah, probably a little more. Maybe you get first quarter, a little bit, half the first quarter or so, a few 3-4 drives.
My thing with Jalen is I think he's so committed to what's the right thing for my image. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, the right thing for my image is to not opt out, is to play. Sure. And I bet you he and Coach DeBoer have some sort of we want to get you out the right way.
Mm-hmm.
That way, nobody can say you quit on this team, that sort of thing. Because, look, no matter how you feel, Jalen did give his all for the team. And I think that, and no matter how you feel, people are always going to hate him for anything.
Yep.
So if he gives them a crack, they're going to take it and they're going to
exactly.
So I bet you he's going to opt in. He's going to play. I bet Tyler Booker plays most of the game.
Yeah.
I bet you he comes out late third quarter. I bet you he gives you most of the game. Same with Malachi Moore. Those guys.
Last time out there,
Yeah, for sure.
I hope so.
I don't think you see a whole lot of opt-outs. I think the opt-outs that you see will be the guys that are already in the transfer portal and that will be in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Before we talk about those jokers, anything on Michigan that you're like, I'm saying, look, you're 11. I just saw this. You're an 11.5 point favorite.
I mean, who is it going to be the same guy that played quarterback against Ohio State? Is it going to be Alex Orji? Is it going to be the other guy? I don't know. I don't know what to make of Michigan.
So we don't care one bit.
There's just no way that they're going to get up for this game the way that they did for Ohio State. You would think, in theory, that's the way it should go.
How many Michigan State stories are we going to tell for the next month and a half? How many 2010 Michigan State stories, Kirk Cousins, can we tell for the next month and a half? Beating Kirk Cousins' brain in the Capital One Orange Bowl. Just honestly, that is where my bias against Kirk Cousins begins and ends. I think that he's not a big time player, not a player that will elevate his team, even in the pros. He never has been.
Big time bag getter.
Hey, good for you. Made the money, but never my quarterback. Never going to be my quarterback. How many Kirk Cousins stories can we tell? Because look, can Alabama go to Tampa and beat the brakes off of the Michigan Wolverines, exercise those demons, and make this Kalen DeBoer's program going into year 2?
Sure. I think they can.
Is that the fairy tale script? That's the fairy tale. That's the roses and sunshine.
I don't know, to be honest with you, that beating this Michigan team is going to really do a whole lot for that, closing the book on that loss last year. I mean, this is a shell of that last year's team. If this was a Michigan team that, like Alabama, had been fighting up to the end for a playoff spot, it maybe would feel a little different, but I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to get these guys up for this game. And I hate to say that, but, I'm still thinking about Norman.
You don't think that we can get the freshman in there? A little Rico Scott action?
Maybe you can get the freshman up for
jumping out of the portal. We're gonna see what Rico Scott and Amari Jefferson are made of.
I'm excited for that. I want to see some Austin Mack. That's what I want to see.
Return.
I want to see, maybe give Jalen Milroe first 5-10 minutes of the game. Let him get 2-3 drives in. Let Ty Simpson play the rest of the first half. Come out of the locker room, Austin Mack, baby.
We're gonna burn that song into oblivion over the next couple of years if he becomes a starter.
But yeah, I don't know. There's not much to be made of this game. I don't think. I think it's going to be kind of ugly.
It's a springboard. It's a springboard into 2025. You got to take advantage of these 15 practices, man.
Yeah. We
gotta get that.
I will say I'm looking forward to most is just seeing some of the young guys get involved. Hopefully, see what next year's team will maybe look like a little bit. And I'm excited to see Ty Simpson get some extended action.
Ty 1-5 under center.
Future coach Ty Simpson.
What if Ty Simpson never becomes the Alabama quarterback? Will he still want to be the coach?
I don't know.
I think it's passed over. This coming. I think this. All right. Let's keep it going here on the Joe Gaither Show. We appreciate everybody watching us. We are proudly presented by Derek Daniel State Farm Insurance right here off of McFarland Boulevard in Northport. Call Red Reese and Victoria for all of your insurance needs. They can take care of your home, life, auto insurance needs. They can take care of you for some renter's insurance, for whatever you need. Gift someone some life insurance this coming up Christmas. That'd be a unique gift, but it would show that you care. Absolutely. You can call them at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Last topic for us, Mason Woods. The transfer portal opened officially today. And Alabama has how many now? Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 players in the transfer portal. Now, we already knew of 2 going into the weekend or going into really last week, Jaheim Otis and Keanu Coote. So those are no surprise. Over the last week and change, and specifically yesterday and today, we've seen Jaleel Hurley, Kobe Prentice. Those 2 guys were a couple days ago, but starting Sunday, Caleb Odom, Miles McVay, Kendrick Law, yesterday and today, Danny Lewis Jr., Hunter Osborne, and Naquil Bertrand, all officially putting their names in the transfer portal. I read this list, and your first thought is blank.
I think this is just kind of how college football is now. I think I have not done my research to back up this claim, but I think that just about every school is going to experience something pretty similar to this. I think that's just kind of the nature of the beast now. We saw it. You see it especially with basketball every year. I mean, Nate Oates basically has to get a new roster each season. And I think it's just going to start to trickle into the other sports as well. Football, there's 11 guys, so it's harder to notice, I think. But it's just the way it is now, guys. Talent is getting spread out. Guys have opportunities to go other places that they did not have previously. Guys have opportunities to go other places and actually make a name for themselves that they did not have previously. So it just is what it is. I hate it that some of these guys are not going to be suiting up in crimson and white next year. I was excited for some of them, but I wish them the best.
Absolutely wish them the best, for sure. I think you're exactly right. This is exactly how college football goes now. The last handful of years since the transfer portal has been in place, Alabama has seen anywhere from 16 to 25 guys go into the portal every season. So you're at 10 here. And you also have to factor in the coaching change. You have to factor in these guys. Look, commend them for sticking it out and giving the coach a chance, for sure. But it's very clear, for whatever reason, either personality or schematics or opportunity, whatever the case may be, like it could be a million reasons for any of these guys, but just didn't work out right here. So they're all going to go in the portal and they're all going to find greener grass. If I said, I'll read you the list one more time and said, you don't want to lose this player, who would it have been? Jaheim Otis, Keanu Coote, Jaleel Hurley, Kobe Prentice, Caleb Odom, Miles McVay, Kendrick Law, Danny Lewis Jr., Hunter Osborne, and Naquil Bertrand. Which player would you have wanted to hold on to if you could have maybe proverbially franchise tagged someone?
Yeah, that's tough. They're all pretty good players. And I know who my own my own personal favorite is of those guys, but I think from a standpoint of actual what they could do for the team, you got to go Caleb Odom. I like the way that he can stretch the field, the way that he can get vertical catch contested balls. is very, very good, very, very impressive. He can bring a lot to an offense. My personal guy, though, Jaheim Otis. I was so excited to see Jaheim Otis get in the fold this year, and it just never really happened for him. I think he just got kind of buried back there. So I wish him the best. I think he will be very successful somewhere. He's a
Ole Miss.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, hotty toddy, gosh almighty, Jaheim Otis. Who the hell are we?
Yep. I like Jaheim Otis a lot, but no, I think I got to go Caleb Odom. Danny Lewis too. I mean, it's really. I do think these guys were going to be very good players. Some of them.
You're missing, I think, maybe the most important for me.
McVay.
Miles McVay.
Mm-hmm.
I think Miles McVay is the one player on this list that you're really not wanting to miss, because I think offensive line talent is hard to find and hard to cultivate.
There's a shortage of it just in the world. There's, you look. I mean, every Sunday in the NFL, you see teams with bad offensive lines. So if they can't get the best of the best, why do you think colleges can do it?
Right. So he would be my one. Nikhil Bertrand reported earlier in the day. He goes in the transfer portal officially, but reported earlier in the day by various Alabama reporters that he has not been with the football team all season long. Well, really since October. So whatever he's dealing with, whether it's an off the field issue, whether it's a coaching dispute, just an assimilation to Tuscaloosa, whatever he's dealing with, any myriad of things. I don't really want to speculate further because I don't know, but that was already kind of in the works. So really, of these guys that you've lost, I mean, come on. If you listen to the show on Friday, on Thursday, we might have alluded to a Caleb Odom transfer portal. If you have been watching football at all this season, you might have been able to think Kendrick Law is going to go in the transfer portal. You might have been able to identify that Kelby Prentice was going into the transfer portal. If you looked at the roster and saw all the true freshmen playing cornerback, but not the redshirt freshman Jaleel Hurley, you might have considered him going into the transfer portal. So you read this list, and you shouldn't really be that surprised. You see Hunter Osborne, and you think about the opportunities that Jordan Renaud got this season. Like these 10, sure. Look, if I have it my way, I'm keeping everybody because my way would be get them in as freshmen, put them in the oven, pop them out as redshirt sophomores, and let them crush college football for 3 years and send them off to the NFL as seniors. That would be my policy, but that's not the way college football works at all.
Yeah,
at all. So you just make do with what you've got. I think, Mason, you summed it up nicely with the fact that this is just how college football is.
Yeah, Alabama signed a very talented class this year, bringing in a bunch of guys to likely replace some of the guys they expected to maybe lose. They still have a lot of talent on this roster. They brought in a top class last year. So, there's not really anything to be overly concerned about. Tuscaloosa is not burning right now. I think they're in a much better situation than the LSU Tigers are, given all of that has happened in Baton Rouge. So, yeah, I would definitely no need to hit the panic button. This is college football. You're going to lose some guys. And, as long as the starters and things are intact, I think you're fine.
Well, the portal giveth or taketh, but the portal also giveth as well. Alabama's going to go shopping this month. And, remember what happened in the spring. Alabama was limited to the rosters they could shop from based on coaching changes. But really, you look at the transfer portal, they got almost like 1,000 guys in the portal already in these couple of days. So Alabama's going to be doing a lot of shopping. Kelby Collins, defensive lineman from Florida, you remember him as a recruit out of Alabama, might be coming might be one of those names to watch out for. I think that you lose these 10 guys. I kind of think, Mason, I don't want to say Alabama's done losing players in the portal before the bowl. But I think you're close to being done. I think that, look, these 10 guys, they knew that they were out over the last couple of days. They're just going to get if you're playing in the bowl, you're going to decide in the next day and a half. Yesterday, today, basically midday tomorrow. You got finals. You're going to be handling your finals. Those guys are probably going to be trying to lock in on that as best they can, and then staying loose for winter practice, for bowl practice. I think that these 10, like, it stinks to lose them for sure. You're probably going to see 1 to 4 more, 1 to 3 more. But I think once you get past 14, 15, it's going to chill out until the bowl game is over.
Yeah, and that'd be fine. I think that leaves you in a pretty okay spot. That, it's about kind of what we expected. I'm looking at it now. There are some very talented players in the transfer portal that they can go shopping for. Just jumping out at me, obviously. We talked about the guys from Alabama, but then, the guys that are not. Nick Anderson transferring from Oklahoma, talented receiver. Casey Concepcion from North Carolina State had a good year. Jonte Cook from Texas. Bear Alexander from USC. Julian Humphrey from Georgia, which that's a weird story. He entered the transfer portal like weeks ago, and I think his team was just not happy about it, but no one said anything to him. It was really strange. I saw a reporter ask one of his teammates, and he just kind of danced around the questions. I don't know what the deal is there, but there's a lot of talented players. I mean, a lot of good receivers, a lot of good corners, a lot of good everything.
So Alabama going to go shopping as well, and we will keep up with it. It is Mason. We're kicking off. One last thing. It's Creighton Hate Week. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Alabama
Those dirty Blue
basketball on
Jays.
Saturday hosting the Creighton Blue Jays.
It's good because Blue Jays are like objectively the worst bird.
They're mean, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. They're horrible, horrible creatures. They like eat other birds' babies and things. They're terrible, terrible beings.
Dang, that's awful.
Yeah. We're a pro Blue Bird podcast. But no Blue Jays on this show.
Blue Bird?
Yeah, we like blue birds.
Who's that?
I don't know. They're just blue birds are just a nice bird.
Okay, sure, but not the blue jay,
Yeah.
not the species of blue jay.
No. Yeah,
my family actually has a particular affinity for the cardinal, a red cardinal.
I'm all right with a cardinal. I can get down with a cardinal. I've never heard anything bad about a cardinal.
All right, that's kind of, I don't know where that came from, but that was always instilled in me. The cardinal being a impressive bird. So Alabama hosting the Creighton Blue Jays on Saturday. Welcome to Alabama to Creighton Hate Week. We will talk about it through the week as Alabama hosts its biggest basketball rival.
It wasn't a
on
foul.
Saturday.
It wasn't a foul. It was clean.
Right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.